And there's this one guy that he coached years ago at Tennessee that did some stuff in the NFL that I think people know. So I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be Peyton Manning or anything, but David Cutcliffe knows what he's doing.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I hope the best for him. Kyler Murray, obviously, really good start for the Cardinals, which was good to see. Drew Lock, this was his second game because they were in the Hall of Fame game, but against Seattle. Good for him, right? I mean, good performance from him.
He's got a great arm. Yeah, great arm.
I mean, that's one of the most likable college football players I've ever gotten to cover.
Yeah.
And, there's certain ones that you root for. All right, Ed, good stuff, man. Go tell Jeff Garland we said hello, would you?
In the creepiest way possible, Dari. Absolutely.
Do it in a Susie way.
That would be a lot of expletives.
Yeah, it would be a lot of expletives. Great stuff. Thanks for hanging with us. Have a great weekend on ESPN Radio and ESPN app. Mel, back next week.
ESPN Plus, the new sports streaming service powered by ESPN, provides fans exclusive access to live events and original programming for only $4.99 a month. Download the ESPN app or visit ESPN.com today.
Do you need a work shoe that looks so good you can wear it straight from the job out to dinner? Then look no further than Skechers Safety Toe Work Shoes. Skechers work shoes come in a variety of great styles that look just as good on the job as off. Plus, they're super comfortable with Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam. They feel as good as opening your paycheck after a hefty week of overtime. And speaking of your paycheck, Skechers Safety Toe Work Shoes won't break the bank. Get America's #1 selling work shoe at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever work shoes are sold.
Guys, the secret is out. If you want healthy sex, your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take one capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to 7-Eleven and get Ageless Male Tonight.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and are behind on your monthly payments, you need to make this free call right now. 800-428-4187. When you call the Stop Debt Hotline, you're taking the first steps for help. Debt specialists are part of a real team who will help you with all of your options. You could stop the collection calls and letters forever by calling the completely confidential toll-free number right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can handle your debt forever. Imagine no more late nights and no more debt. Don't try to face your creditors alone. Call the Stop Debt Hotline right now. 800-428-4187. 800-428-4187. Get free information now by calling the Stop Debt Hotline. 800-428-4187. Non-attorney spokesperson paid for by Debt Resolution Helpline. 102 Northeast 2nd Street, number 183, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
When Jamie Stevens got out of the Navy in 1968, he opened J&D Cleaners. With his commitment to quality cleaning at fair prices, the business grew to become the best dry cleaners in Santa Rosa County. Jimmy's son, Corey, owns J&D Cleaners now, and he shares the family commitment to excellence. J&D Cleaners has discounts for military uniforms, on-site alterations, and a convenient drive-through window at the Milton location. Trust your clothes to J&D Cleaners on Stewart Street, just north of 90 in Milton, and on Woodbine Road, just south of 5 Points and Pace. It's J&D Cleaners.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
America's veterans are more than a source of pride. They're a source of strength. When our veterans thrive, our communities thrive. With your support, our veterans can get career and education opportunities, as well as benefits they've earned.
Hello, I'm Senator Marco Rubio. Join me in thanking our nation's veterans. They've given so much. Find out how you can support veterans in our community.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. This is Pensacola's hometown all-sports station and home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 945. Catch all the Wahoos games home and away all season, plus all the latest Wahoos news from Chad Brilliante on the Sports Drive, 5 till game time weeknights. And hey, if your business would like to partner with us as an advertiser or with a local sports promotion, then give us a call at 850-262-6000 or shoot us an email from the advertise page on ESPNpensacola.com.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
From local to national, they've got you covered. Every team, every sport, every game. Sports Call with Jordan and Davis starts now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
NFL preseason is underway. Antonio Brown is once again being Antonio Brown. A really cool interview with Marty Smith coming up here in about 30 minutes, and also a very cool moment with a former Blue Wahoo. Welcome to Sports Call, everybody. I'm Davis Allen. Welcome. I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks.
Welcome back, dude. It's been a little while.
It's been a couple of weeks, man. I was in Atlanta, and I went to Charlotte, and I didn't get an opportunity to go to the ESPN studios in Charlotte. I really wish I was able to even find them to begin with, but I was away on vacation, but I'm back now, and I'm happy to be back, and looking forward to looking forward to being back. And Jordan, it's his turn to go on vacation this time, so he's off enjoying himself doing that. So Jordan, wherever you are, I think you're going on a cruise. Go enjoy your cruise and do your thing. But in the meantime, I have the two Justins with me. First, producer Justin. He's here running the board, pushing the buttons, making sure we sound good.
I'll
and
make
then
sure
of
I'm doing
course
this right.
we have our other Justin here. Justin, I'm going to take a second here and say that you were interning with us this semester. Or really this summer semester. You're about to go back to school to Huntington College where you play baseball, and man, you have done literally everything we have asked you to do and then some, and you've even been pretty damn good on air. So Justin, this is your last day with us, but we appreciate that you were here.
Appreciate that, man. I've had a blast. I learned a lot. It's been something I've truly enjoyed doing, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, man.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, anytime you're in town, give us a call.
I will be back.
You're welcome on the show. So this won't be the last time we hear you, but you
Just
do
for
have
a little while.
You have an education to go take care of, and of course you have a baseball team to report to. So we're gonna let you do all that. In the meantime, Justin and I are gonna hang out here and hold down the fort. But in the meantime, NFL's back, baby.
Yeah. Football is back.
It's back. So now it is preseason, and I know it's not the regular season to where you watch it with full out intensity. Your fantasy teams are up. You're ready to watch, and you're getting ticked off, I should say. I need to watch that P word, but you get mad when your team doesn't win, or if your fantasy player doesn't do too well. You don't really get that in the preseason. In fact, you're going to see players in the preseason that are more than likely going to get cut before this regular season even begins.
Well, right now you're just praying that your fantasy guys don't get hurt, or your guys you're wanting to draft doesn't get hurt.
Exactly. You're looking at these fantasy. You're looking at your team right now because some people have already drafted their fantasy teams. I'm not about that.
No,
I'm more about I'm more about like last preseason game.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do our draft. In fact, both of my drafts I think are on the 25th coming up.
Yeah.
On the 25th of this month, which is at towards the end of the preseason. But actually, on that note, Orlando's coming up soon with the Florida-Miami game, and we're going to be really excited to cover that ball game.
Absolutely.
But, dude, I like the NFL preseason. I'm okay with the format that it's on, but you can really only watch about 10 minutes of it before you flip through the channels and you wonder, all right, let's see if there's another game on. Yeah, there's another game on, and, yeah, that game's whatever. All right, what does Netflix have on?
Well, that's really, I mean, you think, when you're walking through the mall, they got all those sample places right before, the real places, especially like the Chinese place. They'll hand you, hey, you want to try this? You try it. It's kind of like preseason football. Gives you that taste for football, but you can't really enjoy it because it's not real yet.
But you know why I like the preseason at the same time is because you do get to see those players that you're really not going to see during the regular season. So, for example, what we're going to do during this first segment is we're going to break down some of the guys who are the first round picks, the guys who were big names that were drafted that made their debuts with their respective teams. So we're going to talk about those guys here in just a moment. But really, I like watching these games because you're going to see guys who may never get a chance to really play in the NFL, and you get to see what they can do. The biggest example, and we'll go ahead and knock this guy out, is that Damon Sheehy Giuseppe, the wide receiver who went to Phoenix College. He left Phoenix College to go pursue D1 opportunities, and that never really worked out. He was in Miami, living outside of a gym. He was homeless for a little while. This guy, for 2 years, grinded every single day with that thought of, I'm going to make it to the NFL, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it to the NFL, going as far as somehow being able to talk his way into getting a workout with the Cleveland Browns. And he ends up returning a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I remember this one that said he lied his way. He lied about something about knowing someone within the camp, and that's how they looked at him and gave him a shot. And he was sleeping outside. He paid his last $200 he had to work with a trainer just so he can get the work in. He was homeless, didn't have any money. It was kind of like his last shot. Like, he needed this to happen, and it was an incredible story. I don't know if you heard, but when during the game he didn't have any cleats or anything like that, Odell Beckham Jr., he gave him his cleats that he had just worn in warm-ups, and those are the cleats he was wearing when he returned the punt for a touchdown.
And he got to keep them. I
guess
he got at the end of the game,
he did give them back. Yeah.
He was going to try and give them back, but he's like, nah, man, they're yours now. Which, I mean,
Odell
if you're Odell, he has a shoe deal. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But also, I do want to say, anyone who makes the roster, anyone at all, it doesn't matter if you're the guy that's going to get cut tomorrow. Anyone that makes the roster, don't they give you equipment anyways? So to say that you don't have shoes, I'm almost like, wait,
I'm sure you get something.
You couldn't go to somebody, you couldn't go to some team manager, you couldn't go to a ball boy and be like, hey, man, I need some shoes.
Like, he's like, my dog Odell, he could probably hook me up with something, right? Like, it's Odell Beckham Jr., he could probably give you a sweet deal a little bit,
Maybe trying to get those extra attribort points.
Yeah.
Right, he wanted to get that, he wanted his Madden ratings to bump up a little bit.
Speed boost or something.
Which, speaking of which, Madden's out, and you, intern Justin, you own the new Madden.
I do. It's pretty good so far.
It's pretty good?
It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. It's always got those little Madden glitches, but so far it's been pretty good. A lot better than last year.
All right, that's good, because I am going to buy the new Madden here eventually. And
I don't know about those ratings.
The 2019 Madden was and I really don't care for that long shot mode anymore.
Yeah.
In 2018, when they first introduced it, it was okay. But I know in 20 they have the college mode.
Yeah, you get to play 2 games in college, which is cool because you get to play 2 of them, but it's only 2. And then after that, it's just a normal franchise mode as a player, so it's really not that great after the first 2 games. But, I went to Florida, won a natty, all that good stuff.
Do you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but NCAA, there was, when they had, your player mode. Yeah, you could start at a high school. I remember, I got to play.
Yeah, you play the whole season.
Yeah, and you play the whole season. I get to go back home in West Virginia and play at the high school my brothers played at. So it was kind of really cool doing all that.
You didn't want to be a Panther?
No, I want to go back home.
Oh, you wanted to go? He wanted to go home.
I want to go home.
Country roads.
That was the good. And then when you still had NCAA football Road to Glory, you could. Once your player graduated from that, you could import him into Madden and play there.
Oh, yeah, that was a cool move. That was a cool thing they did.
I wish they bring it back, man. It was really cool.
Oh, well, I still play NCAA 14, especially when college football season comes back. Now, granted, that was on my PlayStation 3, and that's at my parents', and I don't live at home anymore, so if I ever do go over there, I take that opportunity to play NCAA 14, and I also play Tiger Woods 14, the Masters version, because that was the last Tiger Woods. And they came out with a Rory McIlroy PGA, and it's awful. It's trash.
I played it. It sucked.
It's not even hard. You set the settings up to as hard as you can possibly make it, and you're still shooting 20 under. And it's just boring at that point. At least in the other Madden, or not even. Well, yeah, you could say Madden, but in the other Tiger Woods, it was really hard if you had the settings set to a certain setting. It was really hard to win.
I would pay $100 right now if NCAA football came out and that was the starting price.
Oh, yeah. If NCAA came out with a 20 right now or even 21, thinking next year, starting price $100, boom, that is $100 very well spent. For
I'd
me.
be there.
Especially with
I'd
the
be there for
huge-
that release. At
Imagine
midnight.
if we had last year's season of the NBA, NCAA in a video game. That'd be crazy. You have Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Tua. You have all
Trevor
these guys.
Lawrence.
Yeah, like you have these guys that you're going to use and
Felipe
play.
Franks.
Like that, it would be awesome to play that
Oh, man,
one.
I bet Felipe Franks. I think at best though, I love Felipe.
Yeah, like a
but
7.
he'd be like an 80 ranking right now. That's being generous.
Yeah,
of him.
I was like,
I
that's being
think there's
pretty
still
generous,
a lot
Davis.
of growth we need to see out of him.
Yeah.
He still has 2 more years left, but there's still a lot of growth we need
He'd
to
have
see
like a
out of him.
97 arm power though.
He would,
probably.
yeah, he has a lot of arm strength. He would have like an upper 90s arm strength. His accuracy would probably be in the 70s.
Yeah.
His speed would probably be in the upper 70s.
He's got a high throw power, I bet.
Oh yes,
That's
throw
what I was
power.
talking about.
His
Yeah.
arm strength is going to be in the high 90s for sure.
Super high. But
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say but Madden 20, I'm looking forward to buying it. Hopefully
need
going to
to.
buy it sometime next week. But
For sure.
in the meantime, NFL preseason is well underway, and there's a lot that's going on already. So first, there's still the arguments going out there about NFL preseason, and it shouldn't be 4 games. They should take away some of the games. Some people are arguing that there shouldn't be an NFL preseason at all. I disagree with that one, but I do agree that maybe we don't need 4 games. Now, could we do 3? Even taking 1 game away, I think would be very beneficial other than doing 4. I think 4 is just too long, even though typically in that 4th game we see a lot of the starters and they play a lot longer as like a tune-up game for week 1. I think if you were to at least take away 1 game, that would be more beneficial than doing all 4. Even doing 2, I'm okay with doing 2, but having 1 preseason game, nah, I don't know. I don't really see the viability in that. I don't really see why it'd even be worth it. I think you might as well take away all the games while you're at it if you're only going to keep 1. But that's why I also say do 3.
Right.
Because in week 1, some of your starters will play, but then you sit them out after the first drive. Some guys like Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to see play at
Drew Brees
all.
didn't even play
Tom
at all
Brady.
last night with the Saints.
Yeah. In fact, you saw Taysom Hill take a lot of snaps at quarterback.
Teddy
which
Bridgewater. Bridgewater looked good.
Teddy Bridgewater. I didn't get an opportunity to see Bridgewater, but I did get to see Taysom Hill. And Bridgewater, first off, my hat's off to him. He could have left and been a starter somewhere else, at least compete for the starting job, but he signs a contract with the Saints to continue to be the backup quarterback because I would say that's his best opportunity to not only start, but also Drew Brees is definitely on the back half of his career. So maybe he's banking on taking over as the starter when Drew is finally done. Now, when's that going to be? I don't really know. As a matter of fact, I attempted to reach out to Mike Triplett. He's an ESPN writer for the New Orleans Saints, but had a little difficulty with our communication. So hopefully we'll have Mike here on the show to talk some Saints football.
Yeah.
But rumor has it in the streets of New Orleans, and again, these are just fans, but they live in New Orleans. They're telling me, rumor has it, that he's going to be done at the end of this year. I'm not going to come out with anything and say that that's happening.
I would cry.
I'll see it when I believe it.
I would
but
cry.
in the meantime, you could see that being a reason why Teddy Bridgewater would sign that contract.
Right.
But anyways, you see in the week 1, what I was saying is week 1, you see some of your starters, they play, but for the most part, you're going to have backups play. Week 2, more of the same thing. You'll have more of your backups play, but then week 3, you could play some more of your starters, give them some extra reps, and then you go into the regular season with 1 more extra game in the regular season. And if someone were to get hurt, well, at least they got hurt in a game that mattered if it were in the regular season. But also, that's 1 less game of someone getting hurt in the preseason. So I could see 3 games being more doable than even 2 games. But then again, nothing's really happening yet. The NFL's not really working to move that. Move the format of the preseason, but many people making arguments, especially the players. And if the players are really chirping at this, I think the NFL would work a little bit faster to make this happen.
Yeah, I agree that there doesn't need to be 4. I think that's just too much. It doesn't serve any purpose. I would say 2 would be my ideal number, but I could also be fine with 3. A 2-game preseason, maybe add 2 games to the regular season. But 3 would be fine, too. I just definitely don't see a reason for 4 at all.
I'm not a big fan of the 2. Definitely the 3, though, because the 2, I feel like you still just need that 3rd game just to get everybody on the same page, make sure you got all your buttons in place, man. I feel like 2, it's not enough. Like you're still trying to test out these new units that won't get playing time in the actual regular season. But 3, it gives you just enough time to get your actual units in, and these new units in, they show what they can do.
So we'll see in the coming years if this is actually going to change anything. If we do see changes, do you see it happening as soon as next season?
I could see it happening. I'm not going to hold my breath to it, but I could see a possibility of it.
I think 2021 more likely.
I would say if the format was going to change, we would probably find out about it at some point during the regular season or at some point before the Super Bowl. Or maybe even shortly after the Super Bowl. But either way, they would need time to plan for this and format this.
Right.
Because this also affects schedules. So that's why I think it would have to happen before the regular season schedule is released, which happens during the offseason. I would not be surprised if they were to make a change to the format for next season, that this happens during the regular season at some point before the Super Bowl. Any point between today and the Super Bowl, I think that was when they would make the announcement that they're going to do some changes. But, of course, they're not going to make these changes until all the owners meet, then the league rules of committee. They all have to meet, so there's a lot that has to go into this. But first, before we take our first break, we saw the debuts of some guys that were drafted. There were high-profile athletes in college that were drafted, and now they made their debuts. And then we talked about guys like Damon Giuseppe, where he made his debut, the most unlikely story, as a matter of fact.
Very
and he
unlikely.
made his debut, and I'm going to be rooting for him to make the regular season roster. But we also saw guys like Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Daniel Jones, and I really want to talk about Daniel Jones here in just a moment. But we saw these names that were drafted. Number 1 overall pick, number 6 overall pick, number 17 overall pick, and they made their debuts, and a couple of them were varied results. We also saw Josh Rosen make his debut with the Miami Dolphins, and that was kind of
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it was like, it was okay.
Miami Dolphin
I want to
material.
see him. I want to see him play more games because right now Ryan Fitzpatrick is being touted as the starter. He didn't look good at all.
Ryan Tannehill debuted with the Titans.
And he actually looked really good.
He looked really good.
But Marcus Mariota, as of right now, is going to be the starter.
Obviously, yeah, he's the obvious starter.
But Jameis Winston, coming off a year of just really, it was looking like he could be one of the next big busts as a number 1 overall pick. But now that he's paired up with the quarterback guru Bruce Arians, people are thinking if Jameis Winston's going to have a shot to be successful in the NFL, it's going to be with Bruce Arians. And we saw one drive out of him, but it was a really solid drive. It ended in a touchdown pass. So, first off, I do want to get started on Kyler Murray, the number 1 overall pick. He looks solid. Yes, he played one drive. He had one incomplete pass. It ended in a punt. But for what we saw out of Kyler, and we're going to see more of him out of this preseason, I thought I saw a very solid start. He looked very comfortable. He made good throws, especially on the run. He was accurate for the most part, had one incompletion, and yes, it ended in a punt, but I'm not based on just one drive, I saw a good quarterback.
I did see, I like what I saw. I still think there's a ways to go, but I'm looking forward to seeing more drives out of him. Obviously, he only had one drive, so I wasn't really expecting more, but I was pleased with what I saw. His ability to move outside of the pocket looked really good as well, obviously. But I like what I saw,
And then then let's skip Daniel Jones because I do want to come back to him. I want to come back to him, but Dwayne Haskins, a guy that he felt he should have been drafted by the New York Giants. He should have gone top 10. Instead, he goes 17, first-round pick. But then when he's getting interviewed at the draft, he looks disappointed.
Yeah.
In fact, his answer is, "I'm disappointed. I'm going to prove all these teams that passed me up wrong. Like, I should not have been the 17th overall pick. I should have been top 10. Instead, he goes to the Washington Redskins, which essentially is his hometown team. He's from Maryland, not too far away from Washington, D.C., and he throws 2 interceptions. Now, first interception is he saw the guy open. He saw the guy open. He underthrew the ball. It ended up being an easy pick.
But, it's just a throw that with time it'll come a little better. The second pick, it looks like a miscommunication with the receiver, unless he just completely missed. And I think he missed.
I do not. I think it was a miscommunication. That was just me.
Yeah, I want to go back and look at the video a little bit more, but to me it looked like it was a bad throw. It was. If you continue to look at it more from all angles, it could have been either a misread on Dwayne's part, which is still an error on him.
That's an error on
That's
Dwayne.
still an error on him. He needs to understand the plays and understand the playbook, but he's young. It's his first game as a professional quarterback. Or it could have been the misread of another receiver. So either way, it looked like a bad throw on first glance.
I think it was just a quarterback error. But he didn't look bad. I mean, he made some really good throws. Went through his progressions pretty well.
His first throw was really great. Like he came out of the pocket really well. That's what he did at Ohio State. He was always known to be pretty mobile, even for his size. He could really run and he can really throw on the run as well.
And he has a cannon.
He has a cannon.
He has a cannon of an arm. So overall, 8 for 14, 117 yards, and yes, 2 interceptions. But I think those are positive interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. I'm not knocking him at all for 2 picks.
Yeah, those are learn from your mistakes interceptions, because I think we saw enough promise outside of them. So I will give Dwayne Haskins a pass. I mean, it's early. We saw him in a few drives, and he overall looked okay, despite 2 of them ending in interceptions. But again, I would say they're more positive interceptions moving forward.
Right.
But now I want to talk about the guy that really faced the most criticism getting drafted by the New York Giants as early as he did, and that's Daniel Jones. Guys, Daniel Jones was phenomenal.
He looked great. He did. I agree.
That guy looked like the next starting quarterback.
Granted, he only threw the ball 5 times, but he marched him down the field really quick.
And his touchdown pass
was beautiful,
on the money, well covered, right there in the gut. It was not even
in
the gut.
That was a beautiful throw.
Right in in your stomach.
It was a perfect spot. It had to be right there, and he put it there.
He put it there. He had a perfect passer rating. He played, again, not too much. We didn't even see Eli Manning, but he played well, and he showed a lot of promise. And it reminded me of Dak Prescott when we first saw Dak take the field. Now, granted, Dak was a fourth round pick, and Tony Romo was supposed to be the starting quarterback of this team. And in his first preseason game, he lit it up. He absolutely lit it up to where you saw it and you're like, oh, damn. Like, Dak actually, he was good in college. Like, he's looking really good right now. He looks like he could be an NFL quarterback. Tony Romo gets injured, and now we know where Dak Prescott is today.
Yep.
So that's what I received. We saw more of Dak Prescott, though, in his first preseason game. We saw 1 drive out of Daniel Jones, but I saw very well-composed quarterback who put the ball where it needed to be every time. And I overall, I think it was a great first game, and especially for the people who don't think he should even be there to begin with.
And I thought I understand why they were so mad, I guess, but I didn't hate the pick. Like, obviously the Giants scouting department saw something in him they liked, and
he's
just
got
to trust that.
He's got great size. He goes really well with their offense. He's a pocket passer. That goes really well with their offense. He can learn a lot from Eli. I know Eli's getting old, but he has a lot of knowledge to the game. And he doesn't have what he used to have anymore.
He looks like a mirror image of Eli.
Exactly. When he was younger.
I will give myself a correction. We did see Eli Manning.
Yeah, he threw one pass.
He threw 1 pass. So that and
one for one with 3 yards.
And I did not see that drive, so that's why. But yeah, so quick correction on my part. But Eli Manning we did see once, but Daniel Jones going 5 for 5, 67 yards and a touchdown pass. I thought he looked great. I thought he really looked composed for his first start. And it's a good start to his NFL career.
It is.
I still want to see more from Kyler, though, because I still don't think he used all of his tools or used all of his potential in that first in his drive. We didn't get to see him really run like he did at Oklahoma a lot. I want to see him run. I want to see what he does with these linebackers, the D linemen trying to run around him. But you did see one time he did get sacked.
A couple times he ran out of the pocket and made some good throws outside the pocket.
I want to see him on the run, like just full out running, not running out of the pocket, but just full.
You're not going to see that a lot in the preseason.
All right, so we went well over, but that's how it works here in radio. Sometimes in the very first segment you want to go a little over, so that way you can hopefully stick around for the rest of the show. But when we come back from this break, Antonio Brown just seems to not stop being Antonio Brown. We'll talk about what's going on next here on Sports Call with Jordan and Davis on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Pensacola Beach isn't just a sun-soaked white sand paradise. It's also the best dance floor in 50 states. Every Tuesday night, the stage near the Beach Mall comes alive with great music you know and love. Bands on the Beach are free shows every Tuesday through October, and they're brought to you by the Santa Rosa Island Authority. This Tuesday, it's 5 amazing musicians. They're called the Slight Return Band. They have a trio of different frontmen, and they're going to play everything from your favorite rock, your favorite dance, and your favorite rhythm and blues. Join us for live music every Tuesday night at 7 for Bands on the Beach.
Now there's more fun for everyone at IP. The beautiful Bayview Cafe is here, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can dine anytime and meet up with friends for wine tasting at 850 Wine and Spirits. Plus, if you love sports, IP Sportsbook is where the action is, and now taking wagers. Better up.
IP Casino Resort and Spa. It's fun for everyone. Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo. Oh, yeah! To the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
Antonio Brown, former wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he signs with the Oakland Raiders over the offseason. He's being Antonio Brown. So if you're just now joining us, welcome to Sports Call with Jordan Davis. Jordan Glass, he's off on vacation. He's enjoying himself. We'll hopefully see him here next week. If not, if he's still on vacation, man, keep vacationing. Do your thing. In the meantime, I'm with my two Justins right here. Justin 1, my producer, intern Justin, who's last day interning with us, but it won't be the last time you hear from him. He'll be joining us when he comes back from school. But in the meantime, Antonio Brown, one, he has some messed up feet.
Yeah.
So we
That's
learned
what you get.
We learned during the week that he's in France and he does cryotherapy, which there's actually a few cryotherapy places around here. And what you do is you go into this machine, and cryotherapy is basically cold therapy. You put yourself in a chamber, you freeze your body, and then you get out. It's like a way of rehabilitating your body. I could be kind of wrong on that description. I've never done cryotherapy, and after seeing his feet, probably not going to do any cryotherapy anytime soon. But also, it should not have happened, what happened with his feet, because he wore the wrong footwear.
Yeah, and he wore not proper footwear for the cryotherapy chamber. And those things are no joke. Like, you can actually, you can screw yourself up from those things, because, it's kind of like, kind of like a dry ice type situation.
Frostbite feet, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like dry ice. You can't, you get to use proper stuff for that.
Apparently, this was extreme frostbite is the way that this is all being described. His feet, the picture that you saw also, it's very cringeworthy. It's very, I think we posted that photo on our ESPN Pensacola Facebook page if you want to check out the photo. But apparently that's not even bad. What a podiatrist said, that the frostbite that he had, that was like good recovering frostbite. Like, his feet are on the way to recover. But in the meantime, we haven't really seen him on the field much because his feet are killing him. And so that part's understandable. But then all of a sudden we get a report that he hasn't even spoken with the Oakland Raiders in a while. He's excommunicating them. He's not speaking with them. And we come to find out yesterday that the helmet that he had been wearing for the past 9 seasons, which they believe is the Shut Air Advantage helmet, that helmet has been discontinued. They're no longer making that particular helmet, and according to the National Operating Committee for Standards and Athletic Equipment, that helmet that he's using is no longer certified. Why? It's because the helmet is now 10 years old. Any helmet that is 10 years old or above is now uncertified. You have to get a new, supposedly safer helmet. Well, Antonio Brown, whom we've come to know is a little bit of a diva, and by a little bit of a diva, he is a huge diva. He says, all right, if I can't wear my helmet, then I'm not playing. I'm retiring.
And he says he doesn't need football. He said
he said that a while ago.
Yeah, he said that in March.
When he had
in
his
March.
goofy blonde mustache.
Yeah, he said I don't need football. I want football, but I don't need football. I'm fine without it.
Tom Brady
But
and Aaron
he said
Rodgers?
football needs him.
Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are having to change helmets. You don't hear them getting angry about it.
Well, he's saying that the new helmets that he's wearing is impeding his vision. So whenever he tries to catch a football, his vision's not quite the same as his last helmet. And I get it. You know, it's a comfort thing also. This is my helmet. This is a helmet that I went to a Super Bowl with. This is the helmet that I was a Pro Bowler with. This is the helmet that I was the #1 receiver with. So I understand that there's that comfort level there. But now you're being asked to switch, and instead of finding the helmet that works for you, that can be like the shut air advantage, he just says, all right, well then I'm not going to report to the team. I'm not going to play football anymore until this gets fixed. And if it isn't going to get fixed, then so long. I don't need you guys. You guys need me. And look, I get it. He's a good receiver.
Okay,
he is a good receiver, and teams do want him on their teams. But dude, you were a kid who was a 6th-round draft pick out of Central Michigan. At first, hold on, had a tickle in the throat there. At first, you were a guy that wasn't really supposed to get that advantage, but you got that opportunity to play. You made the most of it. Congratulations. But he has completely lost the humble side of himself. So if you think football can be without you, then leave the game. Just do it. Stop threatening the game. Stop acting like you are the top player in the league. Look, you are another receiver in this league the way I look at it.
And I've heard this said best in a baseball sense of things, the game does not owe you anything. When you start thinking the game owes you something is when you've got a problem. And I think this guy is such a complete cancer to a locker room.
You think there's football gods?
Dude, this is ridiculous.
There's baseball gods. We know that.
Yes. Don't step on the line. But Antonio Brown just keeps going higher on my players I extremely dislike list, and he is just. It's not all about you, man. It's not.
No.
So get over yourself and either play football or go home.
Okay, and what is the drama that comes out of Pittsburgh? Like, it Le'Veon Bell with the whole drama of him last year. Then we have Antonio Brown with the drama of this year. I mean, it's just
Le'Veon Bell and
it's one
Antonio
after
Brown
another
are
with Pittsburgh.
Are on the same spot to me as far as guys
Diva
I
Island.
don't want in my locker room.
That's Diva Island over there.
But then you look at guys like that Damon Sheehy Giuseppe, a guy who's homeless for a little while, doing whatever he can. He could have easily packed it up and said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take a desk job. I'm just going to go ahead and get a job and not be homeless. Instead, this guy put everything out there, was homeless, and he managed to make it onto a roster. At least right now, he managed to make it on the Cleveland Browns roster. So you look at a guy like that, and you think if he can't wear the bright helmet that he wants to wear, you think he's going to walk away from the game?
Absolutely not.
No. Now, granted, that's two completely different football players. One who is now a veteran of the NFL and is a very good receiver. Yes, I'm still going to say he's a good receiver despite his piss-poor attitude.
He's a great receiver, but that doesn't excuse his...
I don't like the attitude of the world revolves around me.
Right.
The league revolves around me. Like, I can do what I want. No, Antonio, one day you're going to learn that you can't. And I have a feeling he's going to learn that. And he'll probably never admit it, but if he were to perhaps get shunned from the league because of this attitude, I hope there's a moment where he can sit there and say, damn, like, I'm not bigger than the game.
I hope that happens. I really do. I hope he learns a lesson right here.
Turn your mic on.
I had to plug in my laptop. Yeah, but I hope I hope they don't bring back the helmet. I hope they don't let him use it. And I hope he does leave.
I
do not want to see him come out on top because then his ego will be so high and so big that we'll never come back from it. And like Antonio Brown, he'll never come back from it.
Here's where we are with this right now. He has filed a grievance to the NFL. Now, I imagine there are other players who are probably experiencing exactly what he's experiencing right now, and these other players are probably trying on new helmets to figure this out. And I'm sure Antonio Brown has support in this. I'm sure there are players who are with him, and they hope that he can win this grievance so that maybe other players can have this sort of opportunity to wear what it is that they're comfortable with. Look, if he were to win this grievance, he's going to get it. But you're catering to exactly what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And is Antonio Brown that worth it to the NFL? Not the Oakland Raiders, not any other team. To the NFL, is a guy like Antonio Brown worth it? Is he going to put more butts in the stands if he's on a roster? Is it possible?
He gets attention, yes, but you still have guys that are better than him, like Michael Thomas. You still have guys like Larry Fitzgerald still around. You still have Odell, Jarvis. You still have all those guys still around. We don't need some superstar wide receiver because we still have a lot of left.
Yes, he's going to put butts in the seats. But there comes a point, like I was talking to you earlier about a different situation, when your talent or your problems outweigh your talent. And when you get to that point, you're done. And I think he's approaching that.
And it's so self-inflicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
ego.
The NFL will work with him on one thing, and then let's just say he gets approved for the helmet. What's the next thing going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
He still has
he won't come back. He won't come back. His ego will be so high up there, it won't come back down
You're
ever.
setting a stage for he can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. You're going to let him do whatever he wants if he wins
certain
this.
players are going to see that, well, if I'm this guy, I can do whatever I want. I think that you're just setting the wrong stage or setting the wrong example. Once you do this, it's going to be a ladder effect, dude.
And you know what? It was Bruce Arians, now the head coach of the Buccaneers, who coached Antonio Brown his rookie season in Pittsburgh. He said over the offseason that he misses that guy. He misses the guy who came from a smaller school. He misses the guy who was a 6th-round draft pick and from day one had to get there and work his butt off to prove that he can be on that roster. Because when you're a 6th-round pick, there is no promises.
Tom
There
Brady
are
still
no
plays
guarantees.
with that chip on his shoulder.
Tom Brady, even though he is the best, you can argue this all you want. Hey, 6 rings don't lie. He was the starting quarterback of 6 Patriots teams who won the Super Bowl, and he went to 3 other Super Bowls that he suffered a defeat. Look, Bruce Arians even said, I miss that guy who came in with that chip, with the attitude of, I have to work hard. I have to earn this. And then once he realized he had it and he was the best, that's when you saw the diva. That's when you saw the change of attitude. That's when you saw the guy that knew, who acted like he knew he was better than everyone and deserved to have that special treatment. And I don't believe anybody deserves to have that special treatment. Can Tom Brady get the special treatment and get away with it? Yeah.
I think there are 2 guys in the NFL that could get that treatment and could not necessarily deserve it, but in a way deserve it, if that makes sense. Tom Brady and Drew Brees, I think the only 2 players in the NFL that have achieved that level of stature in the league to do that kind of stuff.
And there's still guys that are playing consistently well. Very consistently well. So Antonio Brown, we could hear a result of this grievance as early as next week. We'll see what goes on there, but Antonio Brown continuing to be Antonio Brown. There's really no other thing about this. It's not really about the helmet. And Will Cain made this point of ESPN's Will Cain. He made the point that it's not about the feet. It's not about the helmet. It's not about the Oakland Raiders. It's about Antonio Brown. And when will Antonio Brown get out of Antonio Brown's way? And will he get out of his own way? All signs are pointing to no. But in the meantime, guys, we're going to shift it on over to the college level because coming up after this break, we have a really cool interview that I had an opportunity to speak with Marty Smith. Marty Smith, he is with SEC Nation. He's also on the SEC Network. You'll also see him on College Game Day. He also, in the NASCAR world, for our NASCAR fans out there, he's also big in the NASCAR community. So Marty Smith and I sat down to talk about his new book. And as a matter of fact, we have a copy of that book that we are going to be giving away on this show. So stick around. You're listening to Sports Call with Jordan and Davis on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at lq.com.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly! Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo.
Oh, yeah!
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugatz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
Every home run. There's a swing and a drive out to left. Pache at the track, at the wall. It is gone! Every strikeout. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Whether they're home or away, every minute of every Blue Wahoos game. And the ball game is over with one of the greatest comebacks in the history of this Wahoos franchise. This is the home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone. You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
So on Tuesday, I had an opportunity to speak with Marty Smith. He is an ESPN reporter. He is a correspondent on College Game Day. You're also going to be able to see him on SEC Nation this year with Paul Feinbaum, and I think he's going to be the host of it. Paul Feinbaum and Tim Tebow, and I think not Booger McFarland, but Marcus Spears. They host SEC Nation, which is the SEC version of College Game Day. And also for our NASCAR fans out there, he's also big in the NASCAR community. He got his start, I think, in NASCAR reporting for ESPN. But Marty wrote a book, Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul. And I had an opportunity to talk to him on Tuesday. And now on Sports Call, we're going to go ahead and play back that interview for you here. So sit back and also stay tuned, because after the interview, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to win a copy of his book, Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul. Ladies and gentlemen, Marty Smith. So we have with us today, in my opinion, one of the coolest guys that you'll find on college football Saturdays. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Marty Smith is with us on ESPN Pensacola. Marty, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Call.
No, man, pleasure's mine. Really appreciate you guys having us. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Marty, all of us know you. You started earlier on ESPN doing NASCAR, and we also will see you on the SEC Network. We'll see you on ESPN College Game Day. Anytime, even on the offseason, there's college football to talk about, we see you. But you are here for another reason. You have a book that you are promoting with us, Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul. For Marty, we want to give you all the time in the world to be able to tell us about this book, and our listeners, in fact, will have an opportunity to take home your book at the end of this show. So we can't wait to give away this show. So go ahead, Marty. The floor is yours. Tell us about this book, Never Settle.
I've been so fortunate at ESPN to be able to meet and humanize and try to peel away some layers from so many amazing athletes and entertainers and whatnot that we all admire. And when you do those pieces, then you might get 4 or 5 minutes or something like that, where the interview is 40. And so there's so much that was there about these folks' lives and who they are and why they are that person that I wanted to try to put it on paper, and a publisher wanted me to put it on paper. So there's that aspect of it. And some of those people are Tiger Woods talking about redemption, Tim Tebow and how he impacted my life, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and our friendship, playing chess on the beach in Florida with Michael Vick and learning about his 23-month stint in Leavenworth, Brandon Marshall and his scenario with borderline personality disorder, all these things. And they're very relatable stories. There's people battling every day. So there's that aspect of it, and then there's the family aspect of it. My publisher really wanted me to inject myself in this book. And I write very vulnerably about my relationship with my wife and my children and my parents and my grandparents and people who really pinched at my clay and molded this person that I am right now, which I hope and believe is the best version of myself yet. And I think that, down there in Florida where you guys are, I have a chapter about high school football and how it's this thread that weaves through the American fabric and what an amazing institution it is in this country. I write about my time with Coach Saban at his lake house in Georgia and everything I learned from him there when he was extremely disarmed. So it's a very diverse book. I wanted to take the philosophy that I was writing a record album where each chapter could stand alone by itself, but when they're paired together as a unit, that they take you on this thematic journey towards finding the American soul. I mean, I have poetry in there. I have a song I wrote in there. There are many little interstitial moments of interviews that I've done that were impactful to me. So it's a very diverse book, and I do believe that it's vulnerable, it's relatable, and that's what makes great art.
And one of the cool things about this book, and I'll be honest, I was actually in Charlotte. I just came back from Charlotte, North Carolina, which you're pretty familiar with that area. I had got an email from your publicist, and he said that the books are in. I just got back. I haven't had an opportunity to see this book, but what I'm hearing, I'm holding the book in my hand, but I haven't had an opportunity to open it up yet. But what I am hearing based on what you're talking about is that you're not just hearing about these famous athletes that we all see on TV, but rather we hear the personal side, the humbling side, the side
Absolutely.
that makes them not the athlete, it makes them the person. So this is a really interesting topic because we're not seeing the part that we already know. We're seeing the part that makes them human. And I love that personal aspect of it.
Right. It's the how and the why beneath the who and what we cheer. We love sports. We love competition. We love the prospect of winning. But if we really think about it, it's the folks doing it and the people they are beneath those pads or beneath those helmets that really captivate us, right? So that's what I always chase. And I've had the great opportunity to do that with so many different amazing athletes. And look, there was so much I had to leave out of this book. I have enough stories for another book. And this one was interesting. But again, what was interesting to me was I appreciate my publisher so much. It's 12 Books is the name of the publisher out of New York City. And my publisher is a guy named Sean Desmond, and he said to me all the time, show me, don't tell me. Paint these pictures for me. Make yourself vulnerable. Put us there with the emotion that accompanied it. And, man, I'm so appreciative of his direction, and I think we've put together something that people are really going to enjoy.
And this is an interesting book. It has 24 chapters, right? Now, are you calling them chapters because this is a layout of you have a chapter, and then you have a poem, then you do interludes.
Yep.
It's a very unique setting the way you did this book. Why did you choose to do this book in this sort of format?
Because I felt like it was the most impactful methodology to convey the lessons within the stories that I was telling. there is this ages-old way, chapter upon chapter upon chapter, that people write books. It's proven. It's been done for centuries. But I wanted to think about an album, all right? Think about your favorite record. When you put that thing on and it plays, that first song may have no correlation with that second song or that third song. But when you play them as a unit, as it were, as a catalog, then they take you somewhere. And that's what I'm trying to do with this book. That was my entire philosophy for the way I wrote it. And my publisher had to trust that. And I'm very fortunate that they did trust that. It's unorthodox.
Did you ever see yourself becoming an author at all at any point in your life?
Always wanted to, because a lot of people don't realize that I'm a writer. Like, that's who I am. It's what I am. And that's what I studied in college. I studied print journalism. I was a newspaper reporter and columnist for the first 6 or 7 years of my career before ESPN called. And I always wanted to write a book, but God's funny. I was not prepared to write it until I wrote it. And I mean that on a lot of levels. It's experiences that are interesting to readers. It's vulnerability. It's the failures that and mistakes I want back. It's a lot of things that result in this context and body of work and vulnerability that's needed to make it something that people will relate to.
Now, I see here that you have a foreword by country artist Eric Church. Now, Eric Church is actually a good friend of our sister station, Cat Country 98.7. What is your relation with Eric Church to make him be a part of this book?
He's my best friend.
Simple put.
I knew he would write the perfect piece to set up what I was trying to accomplish in this book and the person that I am. And he and I have been through it. We have experienced the most euphoric of joys, like being in Nashville, Tennessee a couple months ago at the Nissan Titan Stadium when he broke the attendance record. And we had a wonderful moment of togetherness and fellowship after that concert, after that show. I mean, it was his best friends, and we sat there and we couldn't believe what we were witnessing. And then we've experienced the most crushing of hurts together, the most primal of sorrows. And we've had to build each other up and hold each other up and cry on each other's shoulders. Not a lot of people know me as well as he does. And he was the perfect guy. And I can't wait for y'all to read it, because it made me belly laugh and ugly cry, and it made me so appreciative that he is an example and a friend in my life.
We're speaking with ESPN's Marty Smith. He's also on College Game Day. You can catch him on SEC Nation, or you can also catch his podcast, Marty Smith's America. Marty, we're starting to run short on time, but every author has that chapter that's the chapter they think about whenever they think about that particular book that they wrote. For this book, which chapter stands out to you that you hope listeners can feel the same way or catch the understanding that you feel about it?
I've done a lot of interviews about this book, and the one that so many people who have had the time or the opportunity to consume it, they're all mentioning Chapter 4. It's about a friend of mine named Olivia, and you better pack your tissues. I love Chapter 9 because it's about my high school football experience, and so many guys who played it and carry Friday with them will relate to that. The chapter is about my wife because her grace has been such a wonderful example in my life. I don't know, man. It's just a bunch of them. I mean, it's a pretty vulnerable piece. So there's a lot of what I learned in there. Everybody's going to love the chapter on Tiger Woods and the way that he spoke to me about his own father, and then I got to write an addendum because I happened to be standing on the 18th green at Augusta this year when he won it again. So there's a lot of them, man. It's tough, but I know Chapter 4 is going to resonate with y'all.
Yeah.
And, well, in that area too. You're down there in Tebow country, so.
Oh yeah.
Tim Tebow. I wrote a chapter about Tim Tebow that's going to make y'all want to strap up and run through a wall, man.
You know, Marty, I grew up not too far away from Gainesville, season ticket holder. My grandfather was a running back at the University of Florida, so I grew up during that Tebow era. I was there when he did the jump pass against LSU. I was there almost every time he beat Florida State. That was always pretty sweet. That's going to stand out to me. I'll be lying if I didn't have some tears in my eyes when Tiger Woods sank that final putt at the Masters, because he's the reason why I watch golf. And Nick Saban, hey, this is Pensacola. This is also a big Bama country. So if you want to pick up this book, you can dial the number and you can try and be our winner to win Never Settle by Marty Smith, Sports, Family, and the American Soul. Marty Smith, thank you so much for joining Sports Call today, being a part of the show. And real quick, though, I got to ask, Alabama-Clemson, is it actually going to happen again?
I think so.
I think so, too. Marty, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much for having me.
So what you were just listening to was our interview with Marty Smith, the author of Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul. And I have a copy of this book right here in my hands, and all you have to do is be caller number 3. We were pondering during the break, should we do a trivia question? Should we do be a caller number so-and-so? All you have to do is be caller number 3, and you're going to receive Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul by Marty Smith. And I asked him right there at the end of the interview, Clemson, Alabama, is it going to happen again? Well, Tua and Trevor. That's the big conversation going into the offseason. So we're going to be diving into
We can make this
that.
love or hate it, but we're going to actually just break down the whole thing just in a segment. We're not going to do love or hate it.
We may have to spend the first segment of the next hour talking about that because we are running a little long. But love it or hate it is going to be coming up next right at the end of this break. But be caller number 3 starting right now.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golic and Wingo.
Oh, yeah.
To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
Chad Brillante is all about sports.
Man, you see one of those guys like Aaron Judge, I'm sure he can throw a 98-mile-per-hour fastball and all. You can't do both.
The majors, the minors, the hometown pros.
And Miguel Sano is not going to hit a home run into the lake when he was down here. Because I was like, nobody's hit the ball into the burn, pretty much into the water out there behind Palafox, and he did.
The Sports Drive, 5 to 7 weekdays on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Pensacola is loaded with famous athletes, and when it comes to seeing a chiropractor for their sports injuries, there is one team they trust, Doctors Edwin Roberts. A family tradition for 3 generations, Doctors Edwin Roberts Chiropractic, next to Legendary Fitness on Mobile Highway, has helped champion athletes like Emmett Smith and Trent Richardson. Doctors Roberts specialize in relieving auto accident pain to physicals for the student athlete. The best treatment for sports injuries is prevention. Call 912-4155 for a free consultation and change your life forever.
ESPN Pensacola 94.5. Hey, 972-1945 if you want to join in on the conversation. We still have this book, Never Settle, Sports, Family, and the American Soul by Marty Smith. We actually received 2 calls, so dude, be the next caller and you're going to win this book. But for right now, it's the best part of the show where we love it or hate it, and we have to go real quick. So Justin, get us going.
Urban Meyer will be at USC or Notre Dame in the future.
Yes, I do love it because I don't think Urban's going to fully walk away from the game.
USC next year.
I love it as well. Ezekiel Elliott doesn't deserve the big money contract.
Have one more good season, then we'll talk.
You don't have to pay running backs.
James Conner proved it last year. I love it. MLB is losing life more and more every year.
Is losing life? No,
Yes.
I hate it. I hate it. Dude, baseball's always going to be that sport. It's always going to be there. There is a big fan base for baseball now. Not every market is going to cater to the baseball market. Tampa Bay Rays. But I think baseball is going to continue to grow.
I hate it.
Clemson has the best trio in college football of Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and Justin Ross.
I'd say yes. I love it.
I love it.
I love it as well. All right. This one I've thought about a lot. Carmelo Anthony should retire.
After this season, I think this is his farewell tour. Now, does he really deserve a farewell tour? Stephen A. Smith doesn't think so. I don't think so either. So I'm going to say no to him getting a retirement tour.
I also agree with you.
He should retire.
All right, last one. Pete Alonso will break the rookie home run record. He has 37 right now. 52 is the record. There's 47 games left on the Mets.
I think he can do it. I love it.
I don't think he does it.
I love it as well. I think he does.
Hour 2 coming up next. Who's better, Trevor or Tua? We're talking about that coming up.
Felipe.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
From local to national, they've got you covered. Every team, every sport, every game. Sports Call with Jordan and Davis starts now on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
So before we went to our small, quick 30-second break, I went ahead and prompted that question. Who's better, Tua or Trevor Lawrence? Or maybe there could be another quarterback in that mix that we're not even talking about. So at the very end of the interview that we did with Marty Smith, I asked him, Alabama, Clemson, is it happening again? He says, I think so. And I do tend to agree with him on this one. Right now, those two teams are the best teams in all of football, but also they boast the best starting quarterbacks in all of football. Tua was hands down the Heisman favorite throughout most of the season last year. And towards the end of the season, when he started making more and more and more mistakes, and Kyler Murray was continuing to play some pretty dominant football, really lighting it up on the field, both running and passing, it went to Kyler Murray. But now Tua comes back in here. He could have a chip on his shoulder. He lost the Heisman after holding it for most of the season. And also, he got blown out in the national champion by the other quarterback that we're about to mention, Trevor Lawrence, and the Clemson Tigers. The Clemson Tigers, as of right now, I have them definitely being a better team than Alabama. But if we know Nick Saban, we know this team, Tua experiencing some of that defeat, that loss, that chip on the shoulder, this could still be a very different Alabama team than last year.
I say, if we're going to really break this down, but Tua, he's really, last year he's having an ankle injury problem. But they said he was around 90 to 100% fine, and then you also had Jalen Hurts coming in as backup. So, and let's also not forget to mention the fact Trevor Lawrence still has all his weapons that he had last year. Pretty much, he still has Justin Ross, and he still has Travis Etienne. Those guys were the stars of the college football playoffs last year. Justin Ross absolutely lit up Notre Dame. He had some amazing plays versus Alabama, and Travis Etienne same way. Just absolute star.
It's hard. That's a tough decision to make. I think, first of all, I think he lost the Heisman at the Georgia game and the SEC title game. I think
that was the game.
That was the game.
They based it off that game. That's why he lost it, was because of that game.
I don't really think he was 90% healthy.
He definitely wasn't Tua.
He was not the normal Tua we are used to. I don't think he was even 90% healthy. But I do think I'm going to have to go with Trevor Lawrence as the better quarterback right now. And it's a tough decision. I mean, it's neck and neck. It's just I could pick the different one tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we're also going based off really the last game we saw with these two guys.
That's what's tough,
was against
man.
each other, and Trevor Lawrence was clearly the better football player in that game. And Tua also, he just had a tough day against that defensive line for Clemson. He was picked off a couple of times by their backfield. It was a very good defensive game for Clemson as well. They made it very difficult to move the ball forward, especially in the second half when Clemson just took off on offense and defense wasn't allowing Alabama to do anything. They shut them out in the second half. They completely shut them out in the second half. So that's what happened when Alabama really saw a dominant defense. That's what we saw. So now now let's look at the schedule, really. Alabama. First off, I will throw some disrespect towards South Carolina if you want to consider this disrespect, but at least the first 4 games of the season are a complete joke for Alabama. You open your season against Duke in Atlanta, by the way, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and Duke was supposed to be looked at more like a better team, but they lost Daniel Jones. Yeah, Rick Sutcliffe is their head coach, great head coach, but Duke is not Alabama by any means. They are nowhere near in the same stratosphere as Alabama. So I'm not taking Duke seriously. I'm just not. I would love for Duke to perhaps pull off the upset of the century. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Then you have New Mexico State, which normally in the second week they're pretty easy matchups.
Okay.
Then South Carolina, Southern Miss, and Ole Miss hasn't really done much in the last couple of seasons. They just got off probation.
Yeah.
Dude, Alabama's schedule's a joke.
All right, I'm going to have to completely and
hold
utterly disagree with that.
Okay, but I want to mention the fact.
Ole Miss or just the schedule?
The schedule in general. Clemson's entire schedule is a joke in the ACC.
Don't think I wasn't going to get.
All right.
We started with Alabama.
Yeah, if we looked at our breakdown, the ACC would be in serious trouble if it wasn't for Clemson. If they didn't have Clemson, the ACC would be in serious trouble. More trouble in the Pac-12 because they don't have any competition. They have no competitors right now.
As long as you were going to get there.
I mean, because Clemson.
Do you want me to get to Clemson?
No. Clemson was the only team with a double-digit win season last year. And I think it was I think the closest one was like 8-5.
Well, I would like to see Clemson play an SEC schedule all the time. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I think it'd be cool.
I mean, it could happen because they were in South Carolina. I mean,
but why would they leave the ACC?
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I also want to mention the fact Nick Saban. He said yesterday he wants to increase his strength of schedule. He wants to play at least 10 Power 5 games a season coming up in his next season. He wants to play at least 10 Power 5 games.
Well, it looks like he's basically doing that, but the issue is he's playing against most of these Power 5 schools are not good Power 5 schools. That's what we're looking at. And just to continue down, so Texas A&M is really the first big matchup that Alabama has, and it's at Texas A&M. Last season, Texas A&M earlier in the year played Alabama fairly tough, but it was still an Alabama blowout.
I think Texas A&M can
But
get
Texas A&M played them very tough. Well, now you have Nick. I almost said Nick Fisher. You have Jimbo Fisher's second season with Texas A&M. He had a pretty decent first year, and now he brings in a great recruiting class. I want to say it was the third best recruiting class in the nation, and you're at Kyle Field. Also, you have an experienced Kellen Mond at quarterback, who is a pretty solid quarterback.
Looked really good.
I want to put this out. This guy, he made me go crazy when I heard him say this. But our good friend Jordan Glass, when he 2 weeks ago on the show, he had a pretty crazy prediction for who would be that team that beats Alabama. And look at Week 3 for Alabama.
Week 3, South Carolina.
He dismissed it, and I think there's some logical sense to that.
South Carolina?
Defensively? Will Muschamp is known for being a defensive mind.
Yeah,
I don't think they can beat him offensively, but I definitely think they can do enough to keep it close in at least the first half.
Could it be interesting? I could see it being interesting in the first half, and you know what?
It's always interesting in the
Columbia.
First half.
Jake Bentley's in like his 9th year at quarterback for South Carolina, so you have a very experienced quarterback playing. You know, and Will Muschamp, even though he was the head coach at Florida, he did lead us to a Sugar Bowl. You know, didn't exactly leave the best taste in all of our mouths. But I do have respect for Will
some of the most
Muschamp.
dominant defenses.
We had a great defense. And we've really had a good defense for quite a while. Despite our struggles with the quarterback position since Tebow left, the one constant is that defense has still been there. But, Will Muschamp
Defense kept us around.
Will Muschamp, you're in South Carolina, Week 3. It's their first SEC matchup for Alabama. I think South Carolina Week 1 plays an SEC matchup. I still see this being an Alabama win.
Oh yeah,
by like 3 touchdowns.
Look at it last year. Michigan was the #1 defense, and Ohio State and Florida both just lit it up. It doesn't. If you have you have a great defense. You still need that offense to stay up there, especially an offensive caliber team of Alabama. With Tua rarely forcing having interceptions, it doesn't add up.
If I'm thinking of the right team, I think it was South Carolina last year that started the year pretty well. They were undefeated. I think they may have been ranked. I'm not sure. But there was a lot of hype going into the Alabama game for South Carolina, and it resulted in them getting their brains beat out. But there was hype going into that game because people were looking at South Carolina as a pretty decent team that might have the ability to go into Alabama and upset them. Ended up not happening, and I think South Carolina really ended up getting hurt the rest of the year. And South Carolina, by the way, has a stupidly tough schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost unfair to Will Muschamp because this could result in him losing his job. But if he could make it to a bowl game this year, I think you ought to keep him around because this is a stupidly tough schedule.
There's a reason why he hasn't lost his job yet. It's because it's South Carolina. It's hard to recruit there. You have Clemson, Alabama. You have all these schools in the SEC. It's hard to beat those guys in recruiting. You can't beat Dabo and Nick. It's hard. It's really tough, and you got to feel for the guy.
I mean, they play Alabama. They go to Missouri. They go to Georgia. They play Florida at home. That's a little help. They go to Tennessee. They go to Texas A&M, and then they host Clemson. My Lord.
So, and I'll really just quickly run down the Alabama schedule. So, I'm only going to mention the notable games now. LSU, this is going to be in Tuscaloosa. That's always going to be a pretty good matchup, and I think LSU.
But they've lost 8 years in a row to Alabama now.
Yeah, I think maybe throw a win in there, but yeah, you're right. It's been a lot of losses overall for LSU, but that's always still going to be an interesting matchup. Mississippi State, I'm curious to see what they can do because they actually have a pretty interesting quarterback competition, and then of course Auburn to finish the year at Auburn, and that's going to be an interesting conversation as well because Auburn is one of those teams who also has a very tough schedule. Gus Malzahn also is a coach that could be on the chopping block depending on how this season goes. Auburn is off to a tough start. Yeah, also, by the way, Auburn's going to be taking on Oregon at the very beginning of the year, and we're actually going to be airing that game here on ESPN Pensacola, so you'll have the opportunity to hear it. But shifting on over to Clemson, Clemson's schedule is easier. Dude, open the season with Georgia Tech. They start with ACC competition, but then you have Texas A&M and Clemson. Now, this was a very good game last year. Texas A&M and Clemson was a very good game, but now we're back in Clemson. And then the rest of the season, Syracuse, which with Dino Babers in Syracuse, and Clemson has been upset by Syracuse in Syracuse. Watch that game. I have that game circled.
Yeah, Syracuse, it was a pretty decent game. Yeah, Syracuse last year, they only lost by 3 points. I was really upset. I was really upset they didn't lose that
Trevor
game.
Lawrence's first start after Kelly Bryant left the team. That was his first start, was the home game against Syracuse, and it almost was a loss. And then Trevor Lawrence got hurt in that game. Mm-hmm. Their third string had to come in, and he actually led the team back and won.
I agree. I think that there's two games I look at on this schedule that, besides the Syracuse game, it's a trap game, Texas A&M and South Carolina. Those two games, I think Clemson could lose. They're going to South Carolina. I think they could lose it. I really do.
I see where you're coming from, and yes, I would agree that Texas A&M is going to be a very good game. But I also find it hard to believe Clemson's going to lose a game this regular season. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I see where you're coming from. I have those two games that possibility could happen.
And then South Carolina at the end of the year, we'll see. It's at South Carolina. South Carolina has a very tough schedule, so let's see where they're even going to be at the end of the year. What kind of mindset would they even be in? Because if South Carolina, let's just say, is a 3-loss team going into that game,
then it's dangerous.
Oh, don't count them out.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. That's a dangerous game.
And but now that's a far-fetched thing because South Carolina's got a murderer's row of schedule they got to go through. But a 3-4 loss, even not 4-loss South Carolina team at home against Clemson, last game of the year, it's dangerous, man. It's dangerous.
So right now, if my early we can go ahead and make our early Heisman predictions if we want. My early Heisman favorite is Trevor Lawrence at the beginning of the year. Based on the schedule, his ability to be able to really rack up yardage against these teams and play dominant football, I think he has the best opportunity to play his best football with this schedule. Tua, I see him being right there in New York with them. I think it's going to be a close matchup between these two. But if I were to go ahead and say who's going to be better for the 2019 season as a whole, I have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I have Trevor Lawrence as well, and only because of the schedule. Only because of the schedule.
Now, we are only talking about 2 quarterbacks. And Justin, did you want to throw in your opinion about Tua and Trevor before we move on? Because I have other quarterbacks that I do want to mention really quick that we're not even mentioning. Yes.
About who's better? Yeah, it's Trevor. But if we're going to throw in other quarterbacks, I want to throw in Justin Herbert and then Adrian Martinez in Nebraska as well. And also Justin Fields, of course.
So I like the fact that you brought up Adrian Martinez. He's he's the sophomore quarterback for Nebraska. Also with him is second-year coach Scott Frost, and Adrian Martinez, first off, is a lot like Mackenzie Milton, a lot like him as a quarterback. So Scott Frost, he's going to fit in great with, I think those two fit in well with each other, and I think that this could be a very good season. I think Adrian Martinez could be the next Mackenzie Milton in terms of mobility as a quarterback, making big-time plays. In fact, after his freshman season, and you and I both read this, Justin, they have Adrian Martinez in New York at the end of the season as a pre-Heisman favorite.
Yeah, they have him as the
favorite.
third. They have him as the third. They have Tua at 1, then Trevor, and then it goes Adrian, and then Justin Herbert, then Chase Young of Ohio State, the D lineman for Ohio State.
Hey, I've got an early hot take, an early prediction. September 28th, Ohio State at Nebraska. Nebraska wins the football game.
I won't be surprised.
Because
here's why.
Super early.
No. Here's why. And see, I wasn't surprised about this game last year. Ohio State almost lost to Nebraska last year.
In Maryland.
And Maryland, because here's why. Ohio State, they don't focus on the now. They focus on the future. That's why they were focused on the Michigan game. They weren't focused on what was right in front of them. They were focused on what was like 2-3 weeks down the road. And that's why they lost to Purdue, because they were too focused on the next big game instead of the games they need to win right now. And so, but I don't know if Ryan Day will be the same way. I know Urban Meyer was like that, because Urban Meyer, he has shown that in his history of coaching that he focuses way down the road instead of what's right now. Yeah.
And as of right now, I would say, for going back to Nebraska, the West Division for the Big Ten is notably very weak. You have Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa, which Iowa's always good for a big win, Purdue, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Illinois. So really the only teams that stand out to me are Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Northwestern, as a matter of fact, looked really solid last year, but I have a hard time believing Northwestern is the kind of team that could have stability with success in football.
Tough, they're just tough.
They're just they're not really a football school. Although, hey, you know what, Pat Fitzgerald, great. He's a great
head coach. He's
a great.
They love a fight. They love a fight, man. Like if you punch them, they just like I forgot the analogy Gus Johnson used last year. They were just like if you punch them and then they got their lip busted, they just look at you and they smile and they just come back at you harder. You know what? That's just how Pat Fitzgerald
Nebraska, is. I like Purdue and Minnesota also in that Big Ten West.
Purdue.
The Big Ten West.
Purdue with Braum as their head coach, and I think Purdue is another team that could have an opportunity to win in that West Division.
The Big Ten West is probably the most open division of all of college football right now, because there's just anyone could come out on top right now.
That's not speaking to the strength of that division either. That's just speaking to the lack of a
literally it's so hard to predict this, because like literally these teams are so equal in talent and coaching that it's hard to pick. So, it used to be just Wisconsin, but now it's like who is it going to be? Because it used to be Iowa was one of those teams. Northwestern last year, Purdue was showing some promise last year. Nebraska way long ago was that team. It's hard to pick who's going to be the team that comes out.
Nebraska for the longest time was one of the most dominant programs. Like they were
Big
Alabama.
Big Red.
Like back in the 80s and 90s and 70s, like they were Alabama.
Yeah, like they go like who was it they played? Like Colorado in the Orange Bowl, I think it was. I think that's what it was. It was a big.
In the Orange Bowl, they played Miami.
Yeah.
And Miami actually won that one.
Who? Did they play Colorado?
I know Nebraska played Florida in the national championship back in '95. And they beat the crud out of Florida. But anyways, if you're just now joining, we started the conversation. Who's better? Who's likely to have a better season to start? Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa? And I think around the table we are all agreeing, based on just the strength of schedule and the opportunities to be successful, we would have to say Trevor Lawrence, because Alabama does have that slight edge of having a more tougher schedule. But overall, both teams have very winnable schedules, and I would firmly expect both teams to not only be in the playoffs, but once again, I know this is Golden State, Cleveland all over again, but you have another Alabama-Clemson matchup. I hope, though, it's not a blowout, because we want these games to be good games if we're going to see this matchup again. But that's what's looking like right now.
Right.
These are two extremely dominant teams that play in that have really, I'm not going to say weak conferences, although the ACC at the moment is pretty weak. Alabama's not playing all the toughest SEC schools right now. Ole Miss used to be better than what they are right now. They're on the rebuild. Mississippi State, I would say right now, is continuing to be on the rebuild. They were a little bit better of a team. LSU, I think, is going to be a pretty decent team this year. Auburn, we really don't know about Auburn at the moment. Week 1's going to say everything, but as of right now, we really don't know where Auburn's going to be. I'm sure the diehard Auburn fan would say Auburn has a good chance, but we don't even know who your starting quarterback is. Is it going to be Joey Gatewood? Is it going to be Bo Nix? There's still a lot of questions to be answered in that department, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and settle that conversation. I think we all think that Trevor may have a better season, but it's all coming up on August 24th when Florida takes on Miami in almost in New Orleans, but in Orlando. That's when college football gets underway. For right now, though, ESPN, when we come back from this break, ESPN came out with their own bracket of best movie
I forgot about
athletes.
this. We get to do this. I'm excited for this. Let's go.
So they have a bracket, and we're going to talk about that bracket, but we're going to give our own, and we're going to break down who the best movie athletes are of all time. That's coming up after this break. Sports Call with Jordan and Davis on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there.
We are broadcasters, your home for Pensacola sports, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date for an FSU game.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tee time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys' weekend, let her relax at Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. Visit swmedspa.com. Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa, voted best day spa 8 years in a row.
Getting knocked down on the football field makes you tough, but getting back up makes you tougher. At Goodyear, we call that determination. A willingness to put in more hours, more reps, and more heart to reach a bar that's sky high. Because the Goodyear blimp doesn't show up for just anybody. So don't be just anybody. Be blimp-worthy. Goodyear, more driven.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at lq.com.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly!
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
So, before we went to break, I had mentioned that ESPN had come out with their own bracket of their all-time best movie athletes. And these are not real people at all. The actors are real, but these characters are all completely fictional. As a matter of fact, some of these players probably were inspired by real-life players, but for right now, this bracket just has like a host of random players, and they have brackets for different sports. Now, I want to go ahead and I want to take this time to now take these athletes from any sport, and I want to put them on one bracket, and I want to just go ahead and break down who the best athletes are. And then we're going to break down who we believe is overall the best movie athlete. And it doesn't have to just be sheer talent either. The character, how great was their character overall? How much of a story did they have in that movie? What impact did they make in the movie? So we'll go ahead and get started. Whoever's ready to go and share their list of players that are going to be in their bracket, go ahead and share.
Are we doing an 8-person bracket?
Let's do 8 people. Yeah, we got to keep it 8.
Oh,
otherwise, we'll be here all day.
All right, so I think we have to start off with a...
Well, you have to start off.
I'm going to have to start off with a Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
Good pick. Who's Benny the Jet Rodriguez taking on?
And I'm going to have him taking on, what's his name? Go back to the baseball bracket for me. I'm going to have him taking on Roy Hobbs from The Natural.
Oh, yes.
As my 8
So 2 baseball players taking on each other.
Yep, I'm going to have a baseball bracket right there.
Oh my gosh, this is hard. I don't know what to do.
This is hard. So
This is hard.
if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can also text in some of the players that maybe we missed a couple, and you think we're dumb because we missed a couple. But 972-1945, that is the phone number if you want to be a part of the conversation. But right now we are breaking down the best movie athletes of all time.
How about
of all time?
Yeah.
These have to be fictional. These cannot be real. These cannot be from a movie where it was a documentary. This is absolutely fictional.
I'm going to have to also throw out a Ricky Vaughn. I believe you have him on yours as well.
I have Ricky Vaughn on mine. I'm breaking down my...
I'm trying to go through and organize my bracket right now. But I'm going to go ahead and list. We're going to go... I'm not seeding yet or matchups, but Benny the Jet is in mine. Rick Vaughn is in mine. And Roy Hobbs is in mine. And then I'm also going to throw in Waterboy, because Duke could flat out tackle. So they're
just a raw, natural
an
talent.
Absolute athlete. Dangerous on the football field. Bobby Boucher was insane on the football field. So let's throw that out there. Anybody you guys want to mention?
Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore's a good one to have on as well.
Happy Gilmore's on my list.
Great golfer.
Shane Falco, quarterback from the movie The Replacements. This guy was a great talent, and then he ended up getting away from the game. But now with the strike going on, they needed some replacement players to come on in. Shane Falco was the quarterback to lead them to victory.
I think you're going to also have to put in Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting Rocky.
Gotta have Rocky.
You got to have Rocky.
Rocky Balboa, of course.
You got to have Rocky. I like Happy
Forrest
Gilmore.
Gump, of course.
See, all he could do was run, though. I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. See, that one's controversial because he did go to the University of Alabama in the movie.
He was an All-American, and he protected our country. He got the Purple Heart. And he got the Medal of Honor.
Okay, but we're not.
Yeah, but he didn't go on.
We're talking sports here, sir. But, man, this is tough, man.
This is a tough one. You know, this is one of those conversations where Air Bud, so they mentioned Air Bud. Air Bud, So I used to love that movie, especially when the baseball movie came out. I used to love Air Bud, but I think the part where I called foul is that at the end of the movie, they show Air Bud as the first baseman of the Los Angeles Angels.
They do that for every movie. They put him in a professional game.
Yeah, so now, and then it's like, okay, imagine that minor leaguer that's hanging out, that minor league first baseman that's sitting in AAA right now, and he can't get called up because right now a dog beat him out. So I even when I was 10 and I watched that movie for the first time, I was like, okay, hold on now. This one's hard to believe.
Okay, do I go with Paul Crewe?
Ooh, that's good.
Paul Crewe or Bobby Boucher? I don't know which Adam Sandler football player to go with.
So Paul Crewe was an MVP. Paul Crew it was an MVP before he got
But
arrested.
he did cheat.
And he shaved. He
shaved points.
But we're just talking strictly athletes. You know what I mean? Like we're strictly talking sports. We don't have to throw in unless y'all want to throw in like the side notes.
But no, like I think you do, because
going-
like we do it in real life with like Pete Rose and all that. We always put in the asterisks.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm
Go
currently filling. I have one more name I need to put in here because again, we all have to pick
mine
8.
in a second.
I'm picking out mine. I'm about to get done. There are a couple of guys in here that I know I'm missing, and I just want to make sure.
Tough, man.
I do want to make sure I get everybody.
This is
on
really
everybody.
tough.
Okay. I'm texting my mom. Paul
I've
Crew,
got to fill in
Bobby
one.
Shea.
I've got to get one more that I think is. This is tough, man. Does anybody have Crash Davis? I want to go ahead and throw that one out.
So Crash Davis
I'm
is
against that one.
That one's tough because he was a minor leaguer. He was a career minor leaguer.
Exactly. So
So
I
that
don't
was a
want
good
that
one.
one to be in.
And I heard Rudy. I heard the name Rudy mentioned, but it's
He
like
was offsides.
Rudy sat the bench, or just was on the practice squad for the whole time except for the very end, and he didn't go on to have a professional career. Plus, Rudy's a true story.
Yeah.
So you can't really.
Yeah, he's not based on a fictional
You
character.
can't really
so
go
you
with
can't.
him either.
This is tough. Oh. Okay, does it have to be movies?
TV shows.
Mom said
I'm
Paul
thinking
Crew, so I'm going with
I'm
Paul
gonna think
Crew.
like a Nathan Scott, One Tree Hill, Mean Jump Shot.
Oh my gosh, yes sir.
I'm gonna throw that one in
All
there.
right. So
I
have,
love it.
All right, so guys, are you ready? I have my matchup.
All right,
I
go
still need
ahead.
my 1 and my 2.
So I'm going to
go
go ahead
through
and break
seed,
down my
guys.
matchup. So what we're going to do now is after we pick our matchups, we then break down who would win against each one. But we have to give a solid argument as to why that person would win. And for you guys listening out there, 972-1945, if we missed anybody and you think we should have thrown this person in, or if you want to share your top 8 athletes, you can call or text us, 972-1945. But game 1, Ricky Vaughn, starting pitcher from the Cleveland Indians in the movie Major Leagues 1 and 2. I have him facing off against Shane Falco, quarterback from the Washington Senators. I think Washington Nationals, maybe not Nationals. Either way, it was a fictional team for the movie. Game 2, Roy Hobbs, pitcher from the team, the movie The Natural. I have him facing off against Ricky Bobby.
Whoa.
NASCAR driver.
Throwing in the NASCAR guy here.
Throwing in the Ricky Bobby, because if you ain't first, you're last. Benny the Jet Rodriguez. He's taking on Roy McAvoy. Who the hell's Roy McAvoy, you're saying? Have you ever seen the movie Tin Cup? Tin Cup, one of the best golf movies of all time.
I love Tin Cup,
I've heard
bro.
it's a good
Tin
one.
Cup
I've
is a
not
great
seen it.
movie.
Dude, Roy McAvoy. Excellent movie, excellent character. Happy Gilmore, guy who could hit the ball about 500 yards. Taking on Henry Rowan-Gardner. Rookie of the Year, 12-year-old pitcher, Chicago Cubs, threw about 99 because of an arm injury he had that made his arm like a rubber band, and he could just
that was a fun.
He could just
it was
sling
a
the ball
cool
in
movie.
there.
It was a cool movie.
Henry Rowan-Gardner. Those are my 8.
All right, I am finishing up putting my bracket together, and I will read it out. Is anybody else wanting?
You can go ahead. I'll go next.
All right, so I have my 1 seed, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, taking on Happy Gilmore. So I have that there. I'll have, hold on 1 second, let me put this down. My 2 seed is Rocky Balboa, taking on the 7 seed, Nathan Scott. My 3 seed is Rick Vaughn, taking on the Naturals' Roy Hobbs. My 4 seed is Paul Crew, taking on the 5-seeded Bobby Boucher.
All right. I want to go backwards. My 8 seed is Daniel LaRusso, the Karate Kid.
Yep.
Then my 1 seed is going to be Benny the Jet. My 5 seed is Ricky Vaughn, Wild Thing. And then we got at the 4 seed Paul Crew. At the 7 seed, I have Airbud going up against Happy Gilmore.
I respect the inclusion of Airbud.
Yes, I have a golden retriever. I have to. He wouldn't be happy if I did it. And then the 6 seed, I have Ricky Bobby going up against the 3 seed Rocky.
All right, so let's fill through these brackets, shall we?
I also do want to get. Actually, no. I'll wait till the end. I'll wait till the end to give honorable mentions because Waterboy
yeah,
is certainly an honorable mention. But I'll wait till the end to give a few honorable mentions of who could have been, but maybe they just should have played a little bit better. So Ricky Vaughn against Shane Falco. Shane Falco, man, he was the tested quarterback He's a guy who's been there, done that. At one point, you could have considered him a burnout. He played at Florida State, where he ended up getting demolished in the Sugar Bowl, and now he's back with another opportunity. He's a cool, calm, collected guy taking on the bad boy, Ricky the Wild Thing Vaughn, who could throw really hard, but you never really knew where that ball was going to go.
But he got glasses.
But then he got glasses. He managed to bring it back together. He had a persona. He had an awesome following, and people were just absolutely encapsulated by him. And then at the end of the movie, striking out the guy who used to always rock him to just the core. I'm going to have to give it to Ricky Vaughn, the Wild Thing, over Shane Falco, mainly because we saw Ricky again in another season, Major League 2. Even though he didn't play as hot, he didn't throw as hard, and even had to visit a sports psychologist, he managed to bring it back together. I'm going to give this one to Ricky Vaughn. He wins the first game.
All right.
You want it? Go ahead.
All right. So are we doing games? Like, are we doing our whole bracket, like going to our semis, or?
Sure, go ahead.
All
I've
right.
got mine filled out, ready to go.
All right. For my 1 versus 8, Benny the Jet versus Daniel LaRusso, I got Benny the Jet winning because his legendary of taking on the big dog Hercules, and then also Daniel LaRusso, he had a pretty good one against I forgot the name, but he's from the Cobra Kai gym. It was
Johnny.
Johnny, and William Zabka played him, but I like Benny the Jet because of his legendary of baseball, and like Sandlot's one of those iconic movies, of course, and then. My 2 versus 7, I have Happy versus Airbud. Airbud had some awesome plays in basketball. He could do every sport, but Happy Gilmore, his ability to hit drives and got like a hole-in-one, the par 5, it was unreal. So I'm going to Happy. He's moving on, and then I got Paul Crew versus Wild Thing. Paul Crew, man, like he was a convict. He beat the guards in the game.
Won MVP.
Yeah, won MVP. Played at Florida State, and then you got Wild Thing, just guy who could just blaze it. He came out of nowhere. Walked on pretty much in spring training.
Throwing Ched.
Yeah, throwing Ched. I got the Wild Thing winning this one. And then I got Rocky versus Ricky Bobby. Ricky Bobby, man, you never saw any driving like this before, but Rocky, man, like...
You can't go against Rocky.
Yeah, he had 5 movies. Like, come on, let's go.
So,
yeah, Rocky's winning that one.
To my semis, we've got Benny the Jet beating Happy Gilmore in the first round. Moving on, Benny the Jet, one of the greatest movie athletes of all time. I agree with that 100%.
We were talking about like a kid this way. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Versus Nathan Scott of One Tree Hill. I'm gonna have to go Rocky there just because.
Like
you said, you can't defeat
especially
Rocky.
Not Nathan Scott, man.
But that's just because the 2 and 7 seed matchup.
Yeah.
Rick Vaughn, Roy Hobbs. I think Ricky Vaughn would dice up Roy Hobbs like a Thanksgiving turkey. So Ricky Vaughn moving on there. Paul Crew versus Waterboy. I just think Paul Crew, man. Dropping dimes all over the place.
You really did that. You went Adam Sandler versus Adam Sandler.
I did. Hey, 4 and 5 seed, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Paul Crew, Adam Sandler comes out on top. So in the matchups for the semis, you've got Benny the Jet taking on Paul Crew, and Rocky Balboa taking on Rick Vaughn.
All right, so let me finish up my first rounds, and then we'll have to take a quick timeout. But Roy Hobbs against Ricky Bobby. So Roy Hobbs, he's a guy from the very get-go. All he wanted to do was just play baseball. He had a gift for the game, but he also had a pure love of the game. While Ricky Bobby, he had a pure talent of the game. He didn't realize it until later on in his career when he found out that, hey, he has a knack for driving. Ends up becoming a superstar. Mm-hmm. He ends up gaining a huge ego out of it, a beautiful wife, and 2 really annoying kids. I would say that between this, both of them very gifted. Roy Hobbs, he even was shot, got away from the game for a while, and came back. Ricky Bobby, he fell off the face of the earth. He had some psychological issues. He managed to come back and be a dominant NASCAR driver. I think in the end, I'm going to go based on just overall likability of personality, and I'm going to give this one to Roy Hobbs.
I respect that. I like that pick.
Okay. Now, hold on now. I'll finish my list. Now, the next one, Benny the Jet Rodriguez taking on Roy McAvoy, the 10 Cup, the owner of the driving range. So I'm going to have to give this one to Benny the Jet real quick because he ended up making it to the major leagues, and from what we understood, he's absolutely killing it in the major leagues. While Roy McAvoy, he stole home. While Roy, his lasting impression was it took him about 8 shots to finally make it on the green after he put the rest of his balls in the water. So I'm going to have to give this one to Benny the Jet.
That was still pretty cool, though.
I will give a shout-out to Roy because he did have a historic round in the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. And then Happy Gilmore against Henry Rowan Gardner. So Happy Gilmore's a guy where he was a hockey player one, and he could hit the crap out of a golf ball, and he did that really on accident because he wanted the movers to get back to work, and they said, no, not unless you can hit a ball farther than me. Ends up knocking a woman in the head, which makes her fall off the roof, or makes her husband fall off the roof, I should say. Or no, it was the woman. It was the woman that fell off the roof. And then you have Henry Rowan Gardner, suffers an accident on his arm, and which makes him have like an elastic arm, can whip the ball in there, but then at the end of the movie, he ends up losing that talent, and he just goes back to being a Little League player. So this one has to go to Happy Gilmore.
But he still made it through a Major League inning, though. Like, he still made it through a Major League inning, though, with his, like, 11, 12-year-old arm.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with, I agree with the...
I know, I just want to mention that
it did
part.
also end that Henry Rowan Gardner did win a World Series with the Chicago Cubs, which really didn't happen until 2016, but Happy Gilmore defeated Shooter McGavin.
It's true.
And really, Shooter McGavin, I want to throw out there, is an honorable mention for this list. But Shooter McGavin...
It's just collapsed is kind of what takes him out.
Happy Gilmore defeats Shooter McGavin, the guy out of nowhere who's just trying to win money for his grandmother so he can
look
save
at his
the
iconic
house.
shot to win the golden jacket. Like, did you
know?
That was a beautiful shot.
He literally had to do some putt-putt in order to win.
He literally did.
That's mad skill.
Yeah, it was mad skill. I mean, it was unexpected.
Really, so right now, the people I have left, Ricky Vaughn, Roy Hobbs, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, and Happy Gilmore. We do have to take a quick timeout, though, and when we come back, we will finish up our brackets for best all-time movie athletes. You're listening to Sports Call with Jordan and Davis on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
What if we got rewarded for every good decision?
Dinner. Meal needs a vegetable. Check.
Amazing!
Vegetables cooked with a healthier oil instead of butter?
Fantastic! Replacing bad fats with healthier fats like those in canola or vegetable oil is good for your heart. Take up the challenge for good health because the you of the future will say,
fantastic!
Visit heart.org/face the fats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
When working at a growing business, you wear many hats. The new business hat, the buying toner for the copy machine hat, the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat thanks to Indeed.com. When posting your job, Indeed lets you add screener questions that give you a less time-consuming route to your short list of qualified candidates. So go ahead, dust off that extra long lunch hat. Hiring's better when you've got your short list. Save time on hiring when you post a job on Indeed. Get started today at Indeed.com/hire.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 94.5 contest rules. You can win one prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes on ESPN Pensacola 94.5 are non-transferable, non-redeemable in cash, nor exchangeable for any other prize. ESPN Pensacola 94.5 prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning, and you must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
ESPN Radio is taking over ESPN News. You can now watch your favorite radio shows all in one place. From Golick and Wingo. Oh, yeah. To the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz.
All right, I'm available every day, thanks.
To the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I just don't understand this guy.
To the Will Kane Show.
It's my job to tell the truth.
From morning to night, the best of ESPN Radio is now available on ESPN News.
My family and I finally found the perfect apartment to rent.
My school is right down the block.
Can we go to the park anytime we want?
Yes, sweetie.
Then, after we were turned down, how was I going to explain? The landlord doesn't want families with kids in his building?
So we made a call to HUD and found out that's illegal.
If you think you've been discriminated against, call HUD at 1-800-669-9777 or go to HUD.gov/fair housing.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
So if you're now joining us, we are breaking down our brackets for best all-time fictional movie athletes. And we did make the exception for one TV athlete, but that TV athlete has already been eliminated. So we are breaking down our top all-time athletes from movies, and they have to be fictional. So as of right now, I'll go ahead and give a quick update on what I have. I had Ricky Vaughn defeating Shane Falco in round 1, Roy Hobbs defeating Ricky Bobby, Benny the Jet Rodriguez from The Sandlot defeats Roy McAvoy from Tin Cup, Happy Gilmore defeating Henry Rowan-Garner, of course, being from the movie Rookie of the Year. So that is my semifinal matchup as of right now.
My semifinal matchup is Benny the Jet Rodriguez taking on Paul Crew, and I also have on my other side of the bracket Rocky Balboa taking on Ricky Vaughn.
I got Benny the Jet Rodriguez facing Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn, and I got Happy Gilmore facing Rocky.
All right, let's fill these out. Who wants to start it off?
So I'll go ahead and just get us going. Ricky Bobby is going to be taking on Roy Hobbs. Not Ricky Bobby. Ricky Vaughn is going to be taking on Roy Hobbs.
And
this
I've
is
already
a
had
very
this matchup too.
You've had this matchup already, and I think you said Ricky Vaughn was going to slaughter Roy Hobbs.
I said he would carve him up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Now I do want to throw a couple of things out there. That Roy Hobbs started as a pitcher, and then he moved over as a batter, and he could hit really anything. At the end of the movie, you could see there was even some bleeding going on. People are wondering, like, what's going on with this guy? Like, should you even be here? But then the movie ends with him jogging around the bases as the lights are getting blown out. Now, Ricky Vaughn, we really don't know much about him outside of a fastball.
That is true. That's a solid point.
Could Roy Hobbs actually catch up to a fastball from Ricky Vaughn? Based on what I've seen from The Natural, I think so.
Okay.
Also, at his age, after even taking a bullet with his wound opening up, he still manages to smash a home run into the lights. I've got to give this one to Roy Hobbs. Roy Hobbs has made it to my finals.
That's a good case. That's a very good case that I might have picked wrong, but I'm going to stick by the Wild Thing.
No, I would stick with Wild Thing as well, man. Like, cause he faced better talent, man. And he could strike him out, man. He just
That's a valid point. The talent difference, I could see that.
All right.
Anyway,
so my next matchup, who's going to be taking on Roy Hobbs in the finals of my championship? So Benny the Jet Rodriguez, he's the kid in the Sandlot. He is the best player in the neighborhood.
Defeated the Beast.
He defeated the Beast, also the dog that everyone believed was going to eat him and kill him. Also, he was the kid that beat all the Little Leaguers who were good enough to make it to the league team. And even the Little Leaguers acknowledge that without Benny the Jet Rodriguez, you guys would be nothing. So he's going to be taking on Happy Gilmore, the guy who is a golf prodigy without even really knowing it. He still hates golf, but he wants to play golf. Benny the Jet has a deep love for baseball, while Happy Gilmore at the same time, he can hit the crap out of the golf ball. But if we're going to talk about sheer talent, and based on the movie, we already know that Benny the Jet was able to make it to the big leagues. I'm giving this one to Benny the Jet.
I agree.
So we have a baseball matchup in the end. Roy Hobbs taking on Benny the Jet. I'll give you my champion after you guys.
That's a great matchup. I'm going to go in Benny the Jet, Paul Crew. Two great athletes, very different stories.
Yep.
But I'm going to have to give the edge to Benny the Jet.
Okay.
And I just think that is one of the all-time greatest athletes. It's also my favorite movie of all time, in The Sandlot. So I'm going to side with Benny the Jet Rodriguez. In my next matchup, I have Rocky Balboa taking on Wild Thing Rick Vaughn. And you just can't pick against Rocky.
No,
you can't. So I got to go Rocky, and my championship match will be Rocky versus Benny the Jet.
All right. For mine, I have Benny the Jet facing Wild Thing. Imagine this face-off, man.
That would be a great matchup. I would like to see that.
I don't know who would win.
Can we create that on MLB The Show?
Yeah, can we do that?
We try and do that. That should be the next feature on MLB The Show. They should have fictional athletes on there like Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn and Benny the Jet, who plays for the Dodgers. But anyways, we're gonna get too sidetracked.
I don't know. Benny the Jet, man. He was just too iconic, man. He stole home. I just gotta give it to him over the Wild Thing.
I agree.
All right, and I got Happy versus Rocky. Happy, he didn't have a passion or love for the game that he was playing. He had a passion for hockey, but he didn't love golf like he loved hockey. Rocky, the way he trained, the way he was, the way he could compete, I gotta give it to Rocky.
All right, so there's our championship matches. Davis, who's your champion?
All right, championship matchup, Roy Hobbs taking on Benny the Jet Rodriguez. So this is going to be a very tough one because you have Roy Hobbs, the guy who is a gifted athlete at a young age, had an opportunity to really be something more than he actually ended up being. He gets shot, but comes back, changes positions, and he's still a dominant baseball player. He's doubted the whole time, too, and this is also in a different era of baseball. This is back in the era that takes place in the 20s and 30s, and Benny the Jet's era takes place in more of the 70s or really 60s, but then in the majors, it looks like it's the 80s. It looks like it's more the 80s. So this is a tough one for me, but I'm going to have to really – I have a feeling I'm going to look back at this and think, what was I thinking? But everyone, my best movie athlete of all time is Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
I agree 100% with that
It is Benny the Jet Rodriguez because at a young age, he is the premier baseball player. He is the kid that everyone fears. And then he makes it to the major leagues, and based on what we see again, he looks like he is one of the best players in the league at that time.
Playing against premier talent that Roy Hobbs would have played against.
Playing against premier talent. So Roy Hobbs, all due respect, you're still one of my favorite baseball movies of all time. I have you my runner-up. But congratulations, Benny the Jet Rodriguez. You are Davis Allen's greatest fictional athlete of all time.
And he's in jail right now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. All right.
I just had to point it out.
You want to go ahead with yours?
Yeah, all right. So I got the Jet and Rocky. You got the Jet.
We both had the same.
Yeah, we both had the same final. I think you're going to go with the Jet.
I'm not, actually. I do have Rocky as
I have
all-time
Rocky as
best
well.
athlete. It hurts me because I hate to pick against
love
my favorite.
Sandlot. We
I
love
love the
Sandlot.
Sandlot.
We love
if anybody knows me, they know that's my favorite movie of all time. It's hard for me to pick against him, but Rocky, man, you can't.
You just can't.
Another world.
Yeah, it was a different world, man, and like the way how his movie was just a blockbuster movie.
He had what? A ton of movies.
He had 5 movies.
5 movies
Sandlot
compared to one.
Sandlot had
Well,
three movies, and Benny was in the first one.
So I'm gonna have to go with Rocky as my all-time. My all-time.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what?
Fictional athlete.
I will take this moment to say that Rocky does deserve the honorable mention, and really, you could argue that Rocky should have been in my list. If we did maybe a 10-man, he would have made it. But a lot of movies, they keep going too with the Creed movies.
Yeah,
now.
if we're judging on just athlete-wise, I have to go Rocky. If we're going on my personal preference, I have to go Benny the Jet. So Rocky, enjoy your crown. You have won the title.
Let's get some honorable mentions while we're at it though. Right now, I say we gotta go Forrest Gump. Man, I gotta give an honorable mention to him, and I gotta get an honorable mention to Crash Davis from Bull Durham.
I like Crash Davis as far as captain-wise go, but he was a lifetime minor league player, so I dock him a little points for that.
There is a handful. So who's ever seen the movie Slapshot? One of the funniest movies, really, one of the funniest sports movies of all time. It's a hockey movie. The Hanson brothers were definitely up there. These are 3 just knuckleheads, 3 enforcers who already just beat the crap out of somebody. Also, another one would be Mr. Miyagi. Remember, he took on Cobra Kai himself, Mr. Miyagi. I'd have to give him a lot of love. If we're going back to golf, Ty Webb from Caddyshack was a great one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ty Webb, no. And then also, oh man, I'm looking. I'm Apollo Creed. He beat Rocky in the first movie. That's a good one. And then also finally, slight honorable mention, Jackie Moon from Semi-Pro, but mainly just because it was a funny movie. But other than that, he really wasn't a great basketball player. But my other final honorable mention, as I continue to slide up in my computer, is White Goodman. Not White Goodman. He's from Dodgeball. Billy Hoyle, White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, nice one. I like that one a lot.
Billy Hoyle, White
I
Men
like
Can't
that
Jump.
one a lot.
So, guys, you do deserve an honorable mention because you are great athletes in your respective movies.
I like that one a lot. I like that.
I've got 2 from the same. Actually, no, I'm gonna go 1. And I'm going to give him an honorable mention because he does defeat the Beast as well. David from The Sandlot 2 was able to defeat the second coming of the Beast.
Yeah, and he had a little more history with the Beast, man.
He did. He was bitten by the Beast.
He's bitten by the Beast when he was younger.
So he was able to defeat the Beast in Sandlot 2. A very underrated movie. People look down upon The Sandlot 2.
I
think it was a great movie. Sandlot 3 was terrible.
That was bad.
But Sandlot 2 was up there. So that's
Sandlot 2, I was like, I can watch this sequel again and again. Yeah. All right. Well, all right. We gotta plug it because we need to get to a break.
All right, we do need to get to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to give you our quick hits. Those are the stories that we did not get a chance to talk about during the show, but they do deserve a mention. Also, let's predict the preseason games are going to be going on today. That's going to be coming up. Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to a former Blue Wahoo that recently made it to the Major League system. You're listening to Sports Call with Jordan and Davis on ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Every home run.
There's a swing and a drive out to left. Pache at the track, at the wall. It is gone!
Every strikeout.
Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike three.
Whether they're home or away, every minute of every Blue Wahoos game.
And the ball game is over with one of the greatest comebacks in the history of this Wahoos franchise.
This is the home of the Blue Wahoos, ESPN Pensacola 94.5.
Join ESPN Pensacola 94.5 for Radiothon at the Studer Family Children's Hospital on Friday, August 16th, when Creek Hospitality will match donations up to $20,000. The Pensacola Morning News will be live from Studer Family Children's Hospitals with stories of bravery and inspiration from local kids and families. All funds raised during this year's event will support the Bear Family Foundation Pediatric Oncology Center of Hope, the region's only pediatric oncology center. Thank you to our champion sponsor, Penn Air Federal Credit Union.
When Jamie Stevens got out of the Navy in 1968, he opened J&D Cleaners. With his commitment to quality cleaning at fair prices, the business grew to become the best dry cleaners in Santa Rosa County. Jimmy's son, Corey, owns J&D Cleaners now, and he shares the family commitment to excellence. J&D Cleaners has discounts for military uniforms, on-site alterations, and a convenient drive-through window at the Milton location. Trust your clothes to J&D Cleaners on Stewart Street, just north of 90 in Milton, and on Woodbine Road, just south of 5 Points and Pace. It's J&D Cleaners.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly.
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
So for the 73rd time in the Blue Wahoos franchise history, which has been going on since 2012, man, we've had some Blue Wahoos baseball now for a little bit. For the 73rd time in franchise history, a former Blue Wahoo has made it to the majors and has played. That 73rd person is Randy Dobnak. Yesterday, he made his debut for the Minnesota Twins, throwing 4 innings. He threw the last 4 innings of shutout baseball. The Twins did go on to lose. In fact, former Blue Wahoo Devin Smeltzer started that game and got roughed up by the Indians. And then they put in a relief pitcher to get the last 2 outs of the inning. And then here comes Randy to take the mound in the 5th inning to go ahead and just pitch and see what he can do. Well, then he ends up with 3 strikeouts. And he doesn't give up any more runs. His family was in attendance. I've actually gotten to know his dad a little bit because I did my Riding the Pine segment. So shout out to Randy on being my first ever Riding the Pine guy to make it to the majors. He's the first one. And his dad even contacted me right after all of that. And it's a really special family, really special guy. But not only that, he was undrafted. He went to a small school that none of us have ever heard of. He also played independent ball, where him and Taylor Jellikowski played for the same team, were found by the Twins, were signed, and Randy Dobnak started the year in Single A and really quickly worked his way on up to the majors and had an excellent debut. Congratulations to former Blue Wahoos, Randy Dobnak. Now with that, let's go ahead and get our quick hits in there. And real quick, Mine is going to be the slow play in golf and how players are now complaining about how slow the game is being played by certain golfers that really slows down the game and really can make you impatient and can turn into bad play. And Bryson DeChambeau is one of those biggest perpetrators of slow golfers. Took him over 2 minutes to actually do a putt, and he missed that putt, by the way, and took him over 3 minutes to hit a 70-yard shot to the green. So right now, a lot of issues going on in terms of speed of play in golf.
My quick hit for the day is the story, for some reason, surrounding Kelly Bryant and not getting a ring. Dabo said, I'm not giving him a ring. Why is this even a story, okay? It shouldn't have to be. He quit after week 4, decided he was going to transfer, and didn't want to be a part of the team anymore. He does not deserve a ring. It shouldn't be a story.
Okay, my quick hit is going to be the rookie shortstop for the Toronto Blue Jays, Bo Bichette. He is a rookie. Let's mention this. He's only played in 12 games now. He has a base hit in all those 12 games. He had his first Major League home run in his 5th game. But the reason why I'm choosing this as my story, he's a rookie, and he becomes the only player in MLB history to hit a double in 9 straight games.
I respect that, and I'm glad because I picked him up in fantasy. He's been really helping.
Yeah, I respect that too because just like me, he's a St. Pete native. Yeah. So right on, Bo Bichette. And he went to Lakewood High School. I used to live across the street from Lakewood High School. So again, shout out to Bo Bichette. Great start to your career.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. You played 12 games, and you've already set a pretty big record, a double in 9 straight games. No one else has ever done that in the history of baseball.
All right, real quick, we do have 3 NFL preseason games going on. You have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you have?
I have the Bengals.
Chiefs.
I have the Bengals, but then again, who cares? Oakland Raiders, without Antonio Brown, are going to be taking on the Los Angeles Rams.
I have the Rams, but I'm excited to see Josh Jacobs.
I'm curious to see what Oakland can do. I have Oakland. Dallas, San Francisco?
I have Oakland, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Dallas, San Francisco. I've got Dallas.
Dallas.
I have San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo is back. And as for us, we're out of here. We'll see you next Saturday. You're listening to Sports Call. Jordan and Davis. Justin, good luck back at school. Producer Justin, I'll see you next week. In the meantime, enjoy your weekends, guys.
All sports, all the time. ESPN Pensacola, 94.5 WYCT Pensacola.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The Yankees and Astros are tied for the best record in baseball. Throw in the Dodgers. All 3 of those teams are 36 games over 500. The Astros have won 7 straight. They'll play the Orioles tonight at Camden Yards.